You've been given an important task. Protecting our very way of life from a great evil.
Oh, you motherfucker. After this trailer, I honestly thought that Call of Duty Cold War campaign is gonna have the worst propaganda imaginable. As you probably know, I'm Vietnamese, and I don't really appreciate the attitude towards Soviet Union and Russians in general. How some games and movies portrayed Vietnamese and Soviets, I just hate this, to be honest. I just hate when it's said that one side was just pure evil while the other side were the saviors of the world or something. With that being said, I don't really think that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 had a story campaign. What it had was just a terrible propaganda towards Russians, and I really didn't appreciate what they did there. And from 2020 Call of Duty Cold War, I didn't expect much, to be honest. I really thought that they would go with stuff like Soviets are bad, Communists are bad, Vietnamese are bad, Americans are great. And so, with that being said, let's take a look at Call of Duty Cold War story campaign. So the game begins with a sequence that we actually all saw before, and while this sequence is just stupidly unrealistic and dumb, I actually appreciate this moment. Why? Because it means that the gamer will not take everything said in this game seriously. Unlike Call of Duty Modern Warfare that had really serious tone, so every propaganda could be taken seriously, Call of Duty Cold War has changed a bit. Now it's more like an action movie of Fast and Furious style and whatever. And so, any propaganda will not be taken as seriously as before, so that's a plus. And so after that, the next chapter takes place in... I might joke to you. After shooting tens or even hundreds of Vietnamese soldiers with minigun and M16, we actually find out that the United States wanted to use a nuclear weapon in Vietnam. And that is actually quite surprising that the game actually decided to show this to us. You see, it should come as no surprise that the United States did actually use chemical weapons, but dropping a nuclear bomb is another sin, to be honest. And the fact that the game actually portrays United States trying to use that weapon against Vietnam means that they're actually showing us something that is called grey morale. Something they want to show us back in Modern Warfare in 2019. So from that very moment, the game actually tells us that the Americans were not as heroes, as many actually believe today. They actually did use very dirty strategies, and wanted to commit war crimes during that period of time. With that being said, I was actually quite interested in the story, because I can see that the propaganda is going not only against the communists, but also against the United States. While communists, or I should say Soviet Union, are not shown as just aggressors or terrorists like they were shown in Modern Warfare. They are shown just the other side. The side that did actually have their own interests, their own politics, their own people, and their own goals actually, but they were not terrorists. I personally didn't really feel that much of propaganda that I felt in Modern Warfare. I just felt like this is someone that you have to fight. Well, obviously because you play as American, but anyways. It should be said that there's still obviously some kind of propaganda going on there. For example, look how Soviets actually look like. And now look how American soldiers look like. For some reason the design of Soviet characters look a bit creepy and ugly and disgusting, to be honest. While the Americans look like normal people who were through a lot of wars, a lot of different stuff, and they just look normal, while Soviets just look not normal. Especially if you look at the main antagonist, Perseus. I mean, how could you be anything but evil when you look like that? So yes, this is just one instrument of propaganda, making you feel uncomfortable with your enemies, but that's normal. So after a very boring and unrealistic stealth in West Germany, I want to talk quickly about the KGB infiltration. So basically, you just infiltrate KGB base in Moscow and you just take some stuff, but can you just imagine if something like this happened in real life? Can you just imagine if this sort of raid actually happened in Pentagon or in White House? The Third World War would actually begin. And I don't know if Americans actually knew about that, but that's just so stupid, to be honest. During their investigations, it actually found out that the United States had a very interesting plans on Europe. You see, it reveals that Eisenhower actually put several neutron bombs in Europe, in major city of Europe. So the United States could blow them up in case of invasion of Soviet Union. And so this is actually what Perseus is after. He actually wanted to use those neutron bombs that Americans put in Europe. In any way, the fact that Eisenhower actually put several neutron bombs in Europe for defense actually makes the United States look like evil. And this is just something I didn't really expect from the game. And again, I was just expecting totally anti-communist propaganda here. But now, I just see that both sides are just inhumane with the strategies they used against each other during Cold War. And that's actually quite interesting because I wasn't on either side. I wasn't on Soviet side, I wasn't on the American side. I just felt like the war is ugly. The war actually makes a lot of people make wrong decisions, especially in politics. War is something you should really avoid. It's so ugly that so many people can die because of your decisions. That is what I really felt during the campaign. And yes, of course, Perseus and his people were actually Soviets, but the fact is it's revealed that the Soviet Union didn't really know about Perseus and what he was doing, so it seems like Perseus is just another terrorist, but not an official Soviet army that were taking their orders from the command. And I do think that showing that the Soviet soldier is actually a terrorist is an absolutely terrible thing, but it's still not as bad as how the Russian soldiers, official Russian soldiers, were shown in Syria in Modern Warfare. But generally speaking, the game actually implies that both Soviet Union and United States were inhumane in their strategies during Cold War, which is actually not quite true, but still, this is much more interesting than just listening how communists are bad. And I don't really know how Americans actually reacted to this campaign because, honestly, when I remember how Russians were so pissed and frustrated with Modern Warfare, I can just imagine how Americans were actually upset with what Call of Duty Cold War had to offer. And so I really hope that people will not take this campaign seriously. But I do believe that this sort of grey morale, or like balanced propaganda I should say, is much more interesting than just propaganding Russians as terrorists. And so in the end, it finds out that our character, Bell, is actually Perseus' comrade, and was actually brainwashed by CIA using a lot of different unethical methods, which is basically just a war crime against humanity. But still, again, the side that we fought for the entire game is not actually heroes. This side actually contains people who actually can do anything to achieve their goals, whether it's inhumane, whether it's a war crime, whether it's just anything. So you have two options. Either go with Adler and finish what you started, or betray them and kill all of them. Well, actually there's another ending, but it's just so boring I'm not going to talk about it. So if you actually choose to stay with the United States, you actually prevent Perseus to use nuclear weapons to blow up Europe. But in the end, you actually get shot. Actually, I want to talk about this a little bit more. You see, Adler in the end actually wants to shoot you, but the fact that he talks so much and he stands right in front of Bell and he draws a gun at him right point blank range is just so stupid. Why couldn't he shoot him standing behind him, not in front of him? He could have just potentially get himself killed by Bell just standing in front of him, you know? But no, he just stands in front of you and risks his life just in order for, I don't know, for dramatic effect or something. But anyways, the second ending is much more simple. You just kill everyone and you and Perseus blow up the whole Europe. And the United States right now becomes the most evil thing on Earth in the eyes of the whole world. So yeah, obviously the most canon ending is the one that you actually get shot by Adler and you stop Perseus from blowing up the entire world. And the worst thing about that ending is the fact that you again have to do something that you are told to do, beside the fact that you obviously were used as a toy for their own goals. And the second ending, while it's a little bit more satisfying, makes you feel like a terrorist. So both of them are just kinda unsatisfying, to be honest. So yeah, what about the campaign? The story is actually stupid. It's the most stupidest and unlogical story I've ever seen in Call of Duty franchise. But honestly, I found it more interesting, just because I've never seen any game to imply such propaganda not only against Soviets, but also against the United States. And there is that grey morality that we were promised in Call of Duty Modern Warfare in 2019, and now we finally got it in Call of Duty Cold War. And honestly, for me, it's just much more interesting. Again, I'm not going to believe anything that this game propaganded about the United States or Soviet Union, but I found that the feeling that you don't know what side to choose for makes you feel so much more interested and invested in a game, because you do understand that the war, any type of war, is just ugly, and there are a lot of war crimes, there are a lot of cries, there are a lot of bleeding. and that's just what war is about. And war is just something that you have to prevent with all costs. And no matter what side you choose, everywhere where there's gonna be war crimes, you will find out that in any war, every side is gonna use any instruments they have in their collection in order to achieve their goals or to beat their enemy. And most of the times, those instruments are ugly as hell, or even worse. And that is something that I feel COD Cold War campaign wanted to tell me. So in the end, the last thing I want to say is that I want people to consider this just a game, and not to take those games seriously. I don't want people to take games or movies such as Chernobyl or other any media that has propaganda to take seriously and to believe everything they say. Because if you do so, you're gonna just start hating each other, something we don't really need in our world. I'm Vietnamese, and I do appreciate both Russians, Americans, everyone in this world. It doesn't matter what gender you are, what race you are, I do believe that all lives matter. With that being said, I really appreciate you watching this video. If you really like what I did, please subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.